Okay, I want you to imagine something. Picture a state before time, before light, before anything had a shape. And it's not just an empty void, not at all. It's this deep, dark, churning, cosmic ocean of pure potential. Everything that could ever be is in there, but it's all just a turbulent, chaotic soup. It's a universe waiting for a signal, waiting for a command. And that signal, well, it's hidden in one of the most famous verses ever written. Right, we all know this line. It's the opening scene of creation, practically burned into our collective consciousness. We picture this quiet, serene moment, a divine wind, maybe a gentle mist just hovering over the water. But what if I told you that's just the surface? What if the real meaning, the one the mystics of the Zohar uncovered, turns this peaceful painting into an explosive act of cosmic engineering? So to unlock this secret, we first have to understand the stage itself. The setting where all of this is about to go down. The verse gives us three key ingredients: an unformed state, a void, and the waters. But here's the thing. In the mystical tradition, these aren't just pretty words. They're technical terms. They're the literal raw materials of reality. First up, we have tofu. Now, it's often translated as chaos, but that's not quite right. A better way to think about it is pure, raw, undifferentiated potential. It's all the stuff of the universe, all the energy, all the matter, but without any form, any labels, any structure at all. It's like having all the Lego bricks in the universe in one giant pile, but no instructions and no one's built anything yet. Infinite possibility. Next, we get bohu. And this isn't just an empty void either. The mystics describe it as a kind of substrate, a vessel that already has potential forms inside it. The Zohar gives us this incredible image of hollowed-out stones, like molds just waiting to be filled. So think of bohu as a kind of primordial memory bank, a field that has the ghostly outlines of what could be. And finally, the mayim, the waters. And no, we're not talking about H2O here. These waters are the dynamic, fluid medium of creation itself. The best way to picture it is as a vast cosmic data field. It's the liquid hard drive of reality. In Kabbalah, this is tied to the highest divine intellects of wisdom and understanding. It's literally the liquid data that reality is about to be written on. So, okay, we've got our stage set. We have raw potential, a latent structure, and a fluid medium to work with. Now we need the action, the catalyst. And this, my friends, is where the Zohar drops an absolute bombshell that changes how you will read this verse forever. Get this. The Zohar states it plainly. Ruach, the spirit, is not a silent wind. It is a kol, a voice, a sound, a vibration. In a single sentence, that passive, quiet image of a hovering spirit is completely shattered. It's replaced by an active, creative, sonic force, a divine frequency being broadcast across the cosmos. This is so much more than a translation detail. It is a total paradigm shift. I mean, look at the difference. The common view gives us this gentle, passive, almost picturesque scene of a breeze over water. It's static. But the mystical view, it's dynamic. It's powerful. It's an active vibration, a formative frequency that is literally encoding reality into the waters. It's the difference between watching a painting and watching the artist create it in real time. It changes the physics of creation itself. Let's try to ground this with a modern tech analogy, because it actually fits perfectly. Think of all of reality as a giant fluid operating system. The ruach, that spirit, is the master control signal. It's the main broadcast from the central tower. The kol, the voice, is the specific waveform of that signal, carrying the data. And the mime and bohu, the waters and the void, they are the dynamic data fields in partially structured memory just waiting to be organized by that signal. Creation becomes a real-time process of a master signal animating and structuring a substrate. Okay, so if the spirit is a voice, a signal, how in the world does a sound build a universe? Well, the Kabbalists weren't just throwing out cool ideas. They mapped the entire process with incredible detail onto their blueprint of reality, the tree of life. So let's follow this signal. Let's trace the flow. So the whole thing starts at the very top, in a dimension called Bina, which is pure understanding. They call it the supernal mother. This is where the primordial voice originates. That signal then flows down the central column of the tree of life to Tiferet, which is all about harmony and beauty. This is where the voice becomes the animating spirit. And finally, the spirit voice arrives down here in our physical plane, Malkut, where it rests on the waters and organizes all that potential into the reality we can see and touch. It's a perfect top-down flow of creative information. And here's where it gets even cooler. This process is fractal. That one primordial voice isn't just a single note, it's a whole symphony. As it descends, it differentiates into 7 voices that correspond to the different emotional building blocks of reality. And those, in turn, become the 10 sayings we all know: let there be light, and so on. So you see, the voice, the spirit, and the actual speech that creates worlds, they're all just different frequencies, different octaves of the same single unified creative vibration. Now, this creative process isn't just about structure, it's about balancing powerful energies. The Kabbalists even gave them colors to help us visualize it. For creation to happen, you need the pure, expansive, outward-flowing energy of Chesed, loving kindness, which is represented by white. But if that's all you have, everything just flies apart. So you also need the constricting, defining, boundary-setting force of Gevura, or severity, which is red. The key is balancing these two opposites. That happens in Tiferet, or beauty, the life-giving green. And finally, all of this balanced, beautiful energy is received and manifested down here in Malkut, our world, represented by blue. Creation is a dynamic dance of perfectly balanced forces. We've gone so deep already, we've turned a silent spirit into an active voice, and we've mapped its whole journey. But believe it or not, there is one last absolutely mind-blowing secret buried in that simple, innocent-looking word, hovering. The Hebrew word itself contains a hidden code that completely reframes the entire purpose of creation. So the Hebrew word for hovering is merechafetz. The mystical masters who looked at text like a divine code noticed something unbelievable. The first and last letters of the word mem and tav spell met, the Hebrew word for death. And the letters sandwiched in the middle, resh, pe, het, have a numerical value of 288. So you have death and the number 288 literally encoded inside the word for hovering. What on earth could this possibly mean? So, why 288? This number is hugely significant. This is where we tap into the teachings of the great mystic Isaac Luria. For him, the number 288 stands for the holy sparks of divine light. The story goes that before the creation story in Genesis, there was another primordial reality. But a cosmic catastrophe happened, the breaking of the vessels, and that reality shattered. In that shattering, 288 sparks of pure holiness fell into the lower worlds and got trapped inside the shells of chaos. And this gives the whole creative process an entirely new mission. This just changes everything, doesn't it? The hovering spirit voice isn't just creating a new world from scratch, it's simultaneously performing an act of cosmic repair, what's called tikkun. That divine vibration isn't just organizing new matter, it's sifting through the death, the chaos of that previously broken reality to find, gather, and elevate those 288 lost sparks. Creation is redemption. The universe isn't just being built, it's being healed at the very same time. I know, that is some incredibly deep, high-level cosmic engineering. So how do we actually wrap our heads around all of this? Let's try to translate it into a couple of more relatable analogies for different ways of thinking. First, the video game version. Imagine you're in a massive open-world sandbox game, and it's all just a messy landscape of water and mud. But you have a special power. Your voice is a magic song. And as you start to sing, the melody itself begins to shape the chaos. The high notes pull up mountains from the muck, the low notes carve out deep riverbeds, and the harmony makes lush forests spring to life. Your voice, your song, is literally building a beautiful, ordered world out of a formless mess. Now, for the more scientifically minded among us, here's the cosmic engineering version. What we're describing is a process of dynamic field orchestration. You have an information-rich signal, that's the kol, being propagated across a fluid substrate, that's the mayim. By using precise waveform control and resonance, this signal systematically reduces entropy, or chaos, and induces self-organization, which leads to the emergence of a complex, stable universe from a state of pure potential. Now here's the real kicker. This isn't just some story about what happened billions of years ago. The mystics teach that this exact same process is still ongoing, and more importantly, that we are active participants. The giant cosmic story of creation is reflected in the small, personal story of our own lives. I mean, just think about it for a second. That ruach, that spirit, that divine wind, it's the breath in your own lungs. And that creative call, that divine voice, it's reflected in the words that you speak every single day. So every time you bring order to a chaotic situation, whether it's your messy desk or a complicated family issue, you are literally participating in the ongoing act of creation. Every time you speak words of clarity and truth into a confusing moment, you are echoing that original divine broadcast. And every time you mend something that's broken, in your life or in the world, you are taking part in that great cosmic mission of repair, of gathering up the fallen sparks. And that really leaves us with a pretty powerful and personal question, doesn't it? If our own voice is a small echo of that primordial creative force, then we have the ability to shape the reality around us. So the real question isn't just about how the universe was made. It's about the universe you are making right now. What chaos, big or small, can your voice bring order to this week? Thank you for joining us for this complete journey through the Pardes. We hope these ancient truths help you and your family improve your own dimensions this week. If you enjoyed this full chapter deep dive, please like, subscribe, and share which part of the journey touched your soul in the comments. We'll see you in the next chapter.